Hi everyone, welcome to the video. In this one we're going to go through and look at the differences between bezels or decorations and shaders and things like the Mega Bezel project and that kind of stuff. So basically go through and just explain what the difference is, how you apply them. In the example here I'm doing it through RetroBat, and I'll probably make a separate video for Batocera, even though it's very similar. They're both based on Emulation Station, but just there's a few differences on where it stores stuff. But also obviously you could take this and apply it to if you're doing doing stuff standalone in RetroArch or whatever you might be doing. But yeah, I'm using RetroBat as an example because obviously a lot of it's driven directly through RetroBat. That's kind of the idea between RetroBat. Makes stuff easier for you, does a lot of the hard work for you, and you pick and choose what you want. So yeah, basically let's crack on. Okay, this is one that someone's requested, so hopefully this is this is helpful. So basically, a good starting point is the actual the wiki for RetroBat. I'll put the link in the description, and they have a good description on here of what the difference is. So I guess to start off with, what are bezels if you're new to emulation and you've not used or seen bezels before? Like I say, RetroBat referred to them as decorations as well, but they're basically the same thing. So obviously back in the day, TV screens were generally 4:3 ratio, so it's more rectangular than they are today, not widescreen. So if you're then playing one of those old systems today and you want to keep the original aspect ratio of that 4:3, you'll end up with black bars down either side of the screen. And a bezel, I call them bezel, but decoration, same thing, is basically some artwork which appears down each side, and basically fill that space and make it more interesting. Generally they'll be kind of made to look like the edge of a screen or edge of an arcade cabinet, or or themed to whatever system you're playing, so they kind of add to the experience. So yeah, that's kind of what a bezel is. And then beyond that you get things like the like shaders, etc. So a shader is different, it's more active. So a shader is what kind of applies an effect to the main screen. So the main screen will come out pretty sharp, pretty clear on a modern monitor. But obviously back in the day you're playing on an old CRT screen, and it's different technology, and there's that slight blurring and there's scan lines across it. So I guess probably one of the most common shaders that you get at the moment is to add scan lines, to make the picture look more authentic like it used to look back in the day. But also there's more advanced ones that add things like reflections, so to make it look more like you're playing on a real screen, as like a classic sort of original screen. And some of them even add little sort of marks or scratches to the glass to make it look like you're playing some old beaten up arcade machine. But we'll go through those later on anyway. But yeah, so the main difference, like I say, is the bezel is a static bit of artwork to fill that space, and the shaders are actually to apply effects to the screen. And then you've got things like mega bezels, which again we'll come to, but they basically join both, bring both together. So that's a pack that has shaders and bezels that work together. And again, that's the ones that kind of add they're quite cool effects, like a reflection on the edge of the screen that kind of reacts to the main gameplay. So they all look quite cool. But we'll come on to those. The other thing that's in here is tattoos mentioned, and that is basically, I guess it's similar to a bezel. It's a static piece of artwork, but generally it's a little like a little not tips, but like showing the controls of the game, like the control layout, and you can then have that on screen and you can choose whether which corner it's displayed in. But it's almost like a little guide to the game, like here's what the buttons do and here's what the special moves are, maybe that kind of stuff. And obviously you can turn that on and off. And also we will go through this, but you can do the bezels or any of these settings pretty much at kind of like the main, like the top level, if you like, and then that applies down to every single system in game. So you've always got like your default settings that you want for everything, but then you can also set specific bezel settings and shader settings per system and even per game. So if you want to, you can certain computer systems or console systems, you might want to look different from an arcade system. You might want different shaders on the arcade system, and also you can do all that. So it gets quite complex. It depends on how far you want to go, but again we'll go through all that. So yeah, I guess let's have a quick demo. Really, I guess it'd probably be the best thing to do. So I've got RetroBat running here, obviously with the Pixel Nostalgia RGS build. So we've got Master System. If I just go in here, got a whole bunch of games ready to play. So the settings are, I don't So I'll come back out. Don't need to be in there to change them. If I just hit the menu key, if I go down to game settings, this is where everything's stored. So this is kind of like I say, the stuff you set in here is the top level setting, which by default will flow down to every other system and game. So we can see we've got shaders. We'll leave those as none for the moment. So decorations. So there are a few different sets of decorations. So by default, it's on auto, and I'll show you again this in a second. But when it's auto, it kind of has a search order. It looks through different folders to try and find a matching bezel for that game or system. And if it finds one, it will use it. If it can't, it will use the system one. If it can't find that, it will use the default one. But again, I'll show you those files in a second. So obviously you can set to auto, that's the default. Or you can set it to none if you don't want bezels. Say for example you are playing on an old 4:3 ratio screen and you just want the game full screen, then turn decorations off. Or likewise, if some people like to play the games but stretch them to 16:9 to make them widescreen. So again, you can turn bezels off then, or decorations. So then, or you can pick specific ones. So these ones here are the ones that are included with RetroBat. They include a whole bunch. You can see like this, TV screens, etc., and kind of stylized artistic ones, arcade cabinet style ones. So there's a whole bunch in here that they have built in, which you can pick and choose. And then at the bottom you have the bezel project. Now the bezel project is a separate project, and what their aim is to pull together sets of bezels for every single system, but also every single game. And obviously still a work in progress, but they've got thousands and thousands of bezels, and those obviously aren't there by default. You need to install those. So to do that, you want to come down in the main menu again, come down to updates and downloads, and then you've got the bezel project here, and you can see these are all the different systems that they have them for. And I'm pretty sure it'll only list in here ones that you have games added for, so it won't list every single system unless you've got obviously every single system in here. So you can see the ones I've got, they've all a little tick next to them because I've already installed them, but there's a vast number. So I'm sure if you want to just add one, you just hit select on it. I can either remove it or update it. If it's the first time you're doing it, you'll have an option to install here, and then once you do that, it'll just download it, extract it. You'll get the little progress bar up on the right once it's done, and that's it done. And then you can pick and choose them. And just for reference, so in my RetroBat folder, you've got a decorations folder here, and this is where the bezel project goes. And then inside here, I've got it quite big, sorry. You've got some subfolders. There's a default one in the root, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying when it searches through for the different bezels. It will look through. So here's all the different systems. You can see they're all in here by name. I'll actually make those a bit bigger. So you've got the artwork, like I was showing, a little bit of artwork down either side for each system, and then there's a little file that goes with each one, and that just tells it, what size and how to orientate it on the screen. So I'll just show that in Notepad quickly. You'll see what I mean. So this one's 1920 by 1080. It tells what size it is, and basically start right in the top left-hand corner, and 0 from the top, and 240 from the left, and 0 from the bottom, and 240 from the right. So it basically tells it, what size it is. Opacity is how see-through it is, how transparent. So obviously one I presume is solid, but you can make them semi-translucent as well, which is quite cool. But that's what the info file is. It just tells it where to put it on screen, basically. But you can see here you've got, they cover most systems, and then also within the games, they then have them broken down by system. So we're looking at, in the demo today, the master system. So you can see down here that you've got all the games. So if I just sort of show those as images, maybe not quite big enough. You can see you've now got the bezels, but per game, and the bezel is actually themed to the game. Afterburner there. So it just adds to the whole experience. So like I say, they have this project is an ongoing project, and they've got thousands and thousands of bezels right now. So if I just come back to what I was talking about, this search order that looks for them in, basically, I'll scroll down a bit further. I'll have some examples here, but this is how it looks. So you can see it starts looking in that decorations folder that we just seen where the bezels are, and it starts by looking for specific ROM ones. So the image has to match the name of the ROM. So it will start looking for game specific ones in these different locations. If it can't find one of those, it will then start looking for a system one. So in this case, the master system. And in each time, if it can't find one, it will go back to the default, and if it can't match anything on this list, it will use the default. So that default is, like I say, in the bezel project, it's this one here. This is the one with a little so if you get this one, you know that you've either got, you know, it can't find one for the game, or it can't find a different system, a custom system maybe, and it will then default to this one. And then just for information, the ones that are built in or come with RetroBat, a different location. So they're under System, Decorations. So here's those ones we had listed before. So if you remember when we're looking at the options in here for decorations, all these ones here relate to these ones here. And again, you look inside them. There's a default one that it will use if it hasn't got a matching system. But if it has got a matching system, it will use that one, obviously. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, and if we just show this actually. So at the moment I've got turned on to the bezel project. Shaders I've got turned off at the moment. Tattoo, just turn that off for a minute. Turn that all off. So that's it. Yeah. So just to enable the bezel project, you literally just change this decoration setting to the bezel project, and that should be it. If I exit back out of here, and let's start up a game. Also, I've got RetroBat and obviously here RetroArt launching in a window, but I've got it set to widescreen resolution. So you see the game's playing in the middle here, and have got a game-specific bezel being found. So that's running here, the side. This is all. So see, it looks quite nice. You know, there's no shaders or anything added to this. There's no scan lines. It's just this is how it plays on a modern display. And then yeah, we've got the bezel to the side. So I guess that's a quite a simple demo for that one. Now if I go back in, and like I said before, I can change it in here for sort of system wide. If I want to do it just for the master system, maybe I want the master system to have a different set of shaders or different bezels, I can go to game settings. If I scroll right to the bottom, you'll have this. So per system, advanced configuration. So then it lists all the systems that you've got that it's found. Also I've got quite a few in here. If I come down to master system, so you see now you've got the same options about the shader set and the decorations, but you can change it just for the system. So it knows that the default, the top level where we just were, is set to none in the bezel project. But maybe just for master system, I want to change this one, and I want to change it to animated. Let's just come out. Run the game again, and now we should get that different bezel. And the animated ones are quite cool. The actual they actually they move. They are animated. The buttons and stuff light up as you press them. Although I haven't got my gamepad connected, so I don't know if I can actually show you that. But let's see. Don't think I can. It's moving with the keyboard, but anyway, what it should do is these buttons in here should light up, and they should basically move when you press them, which is quite cool. But obviously I didn't have my controller connected when I started it, so it hasn't picked it up. But anyway, you get the idea. And again, you can see this one's got a slightly rounded screen to make it a bit look like a screen, but it has cut it off a bit. So sometimes, they're not always perfect. This one has chopped off a little bit, but if you experiment, you'll find the ones that you like and that are suitable. So that's basically the bezels, I guess. You pick which ones you want, you apply it, and that's it. If you then get a bit more advanced, you've then got, like I say, you've got the bezel project, which has a lot more, and has the per game ones. And then when you take it up to the next level, you've got I'll come back to the website. So again, this is and again, it tells you all in here, basically what I've been going through. It shows you when you install a pack, and you get the progress in the top right hand corner, and it'll tell you once you install, tells you where it goes, and again how to enable them and stuff. So, and this is an example of saying that if you do add any custom, you can obviously create your own and drop them into the right place. Just make sure that they match the name of the ROM file. And like I say, so Mega Bezels is the one that combines both shaders and bezels in one pack. And again, you download these through the menu. So we go back into the main menu, we go to the updates and downloads. We've got content downloader. And then if we go along the top here, we see we've got shaders and Mega Bezels. So we just go across to that. So here we're looking at shaders. So there's a whole different packs that different people have done. These ones here are really good. These ones that have a nice reflection on the screen. Oh, sorry, these ones with built-in reflection. So and I do have that installed already. So I'll show you that one as well. But yeah, so there's a few different packs to choose from. But obviously you can have a look through and find your favourite one. I'd recommend this one here, this Coco AIO with the reflections built in. But yeah, you can basically just download and install them from there, when it'll download them for you, and then they'll be available. So if we now go back in, and actually what I'll do, rather than changing it for everything, I'll go and change it just for the master system. This is a big old list, so I can use page down on my keyboard, or on my controller you can use the shoulder buttons to do a page at a time. Just a handy shortcut if you've got lots of systems. Okay, so for this one, we'll try the Mega Bezels now. Sorry, not Mega Bezels, Mega Bezels, that's right. So there's a couple of things to consider with these. There's a couple of settings you need to change, and these do only work with the RetroArch cores. So if you've got a particular system that's using a standalone emulator rather than RetroArch, you can't use these. And you do need to, your video card needs to support Vulkan drivers as well, because it needs those to do the effects. So basically, oh, wrong button, wasn't concentrating, it's alright. Let's go back to where we were. Yeah, so for the shader set, see, these are all the ones, I've downloaded a few, but these ones here, these Coco ones, you've got immersive and non-immersive. The immersive bit is one that's where basically it shows reflections and reacts to the game playing. So if the game's on the screen and there's a lot of red in a particular scene, then there's kind of like a red glow is applied to the edges. It looks really effective. So let's go for this one then. So immersive bezels. So we'll pick that one. So obviously the key thing to do is turn decorations off, because obviously this shader set does bezels. So you don't want two lots of bezels basically. If you can just pick other shader sets which just do things like add a scan line, or add, like this one, adds curvature to the screen to make it look like an old CRT screen. So there's a whole bunch more. So you can have shaders that just apply to the screen. So in that case, you can have decorations or bezels turned on. But for this one, it does bezels as well. So we need to turn decorations off. So just in case, again, up to set it to none. Tattoo we can leave off a minute. Game ratio you have to set to full. If you are using on a 4:3 screen, you can leave that as auto. Then the other thing you need to change is under drivers. Yeah, I've already got it. Like my video driver is set to Vulkan. That'd probably normally be on auto, but change it to Vulkan. Like I say, it needs Vulkan to do the things like the mirroring and the special effects. So now that's set. If we come back in here and run Zool again, we should now get the Mega Bezels. Hopefully it's going to run okay while machine's capturing video as well. So straight away you can see, it might be a little bit harder to see on here, but you've got the system themes, and you can see we've got the blue of the screen. You can see you can see it better now. You can see kind of the reflection of what's on screen on the side, and you see also adds kind of the scan lines and makes it look a bit pixelated to make it look like the original. So you can just about see. So this is quite a good example. So you can see the kind of the reflection of the game in the surrounding, and obviously it moves as we go. So that's why you need the Vulkan drivers to be able to do that kind of stuff. Oh, I'm terrible at this game. But yeah, so you can see it's added a bit of a curvature, it's added a reflection, it's kind of the scanline effect almost, and obviously it's got the bezel built in as well. So And this is quite a popular one. But again, yeah, so that's sort of combining shaders and the bezels. So I guess just for completeness as well, we can do. So I go to game per system. So what we can do is come back in. Let's change it to like a standard shader, a CRT effect. So that's just a shader, that one. So we can then put the decorations back on. Let's use the bezel project. Set this back to auto now. So we should put that how it was. Vulkan, we can leave that. It performs fine, so we don't need to change that back. So let's now try this one. So now we've got a standard shader, just applying a CRT effect, and we're back to the mega bezel. So we go standard bezel, and hopefully you can kind of see on the screen you've got that kind of scan line slight effect, just to a slight sort of blur, just to make it look more authentic. Pressing all the wrong keys. But yeah, hopefully you can kind of see that effect, hope that comes through okay. But you remember, if you play it without any shaders, it's a very sort of clear and crisp image, which, you know, some people like, other people like this effect, so it's a bit more like the original. But yeah, so like you can play with it to your heart's content and work out, you know, what you like best. And then the last thing was the tattoos. So again, these are supplied with the RetroBat as a whole bunch. And again, for completeness, because they're supplied with it, they're under the system folder. Got tattoos. And again, you've got some default ones in here. See what I mean? They're all kind of the layout of the particular controller for that particular system. And then there's some specific game ones in here. Actually, there's not. There's just a README. So maybe you can go and download extras or create your own. Okay, so there's obviously, you can obviously go online and download the per game ones. So they don't supply the game ones by default, they apply the system ones, which is fine. So what I'll do, I'll find out where that is, hopefully, and then drop a link in the description so you can go and check that out and maybe download some per game tattoos. But for now, we'll just show you what they look like. So go back into game settings, and obviously it's right at the bottom, but these menus are kind of loop through. So if I'm at the top and I just press up, it jumps to the bottom, so it's just quicker to get to. And again, we use page down to whiz down here. So yeah, tattoos, you basically turn them on and then decide where they appear on the screen. I'm not sure what auto does, whether auto does it, well, it works out what it thinks is best, or just defaults to top left. I'm not sure, but I kind of like bottom left. And then there is an option to auto resize it. So if it's bigger or it's wider than the bezel is, it's then going to kind of cover part of your game. So if you enable this, it'll make sure it resize it so it doesn't cover the game. I think that's the downside, is it might be a little bit squished. But let's see what it looks like. So we go back into Zool again. So it's a little bit slow to load with the while it's recording. So you can see here now in the bottom corner we've got the kind of the buttons layout. So it's like a general layout from our system, saying that use D-pad, either the actual D-pad or you can use analog stick, and buttons 1 and 2. Because obviously the Mars system only had a 2-button controller. Oh, still the wrong buttons. But anyway, yeah, you get the idea. So you've got these tattoos you can add, and like you can position them in any corner you want. So I think that's it. There's again, you can kind of play with it, and you can have any kind of variation if you want, which shaders and stuff. And like I say, you can set it at the very top level, so it applies down to everything, every single system and game. You can then go to per system like we're doing here, and then you can even do per game, which, just for completeness, I'll show you that in a second. So if I wanted to just go back to auto, tattoo I'll turn off for now. So yeah, so you want to do a specific game. While you've got the game in the wheel here, if you hold it down, select, you get a pop-out menu, and then down here you've got advanced game options, and again you've got exactly the same set of options pretty much. I think it's slightly less maybe in here, but in here again you can set shader, so you can set a specific shader or specific decoration / bezel or tattoo per game as well. So it's really powerful. You can basically have each game with its own setting if you really wanted to. If you've got thousands of games and you want to set everyone's different, and up to you, but you can see how you can quite easily lose track of what you've set where, because you can kind of go to the top level, set your shaders and stuff, and then you go down to play a system and it's not the one you expected, and then you realise you've overridden it further down. You've either set a specific shader or bezel for that game or for that system. So you can kind of get yourself lost but it's easy enough to turn back again. So like I say, that's it for, I guess that's it really. So here's all the different shaders, like I say, you can use in any combination. Only thing to remember is if you use the Mega Bezel ones, that will only be with the RetroArch cores, and again it does say that on the website. So I can't stress enough how useful the RetroBat Wiki is. Just do a search for in Google for RetroBat Wiki, or just the address here. I'll put the link in the description, and it's got obviously it's covering bezels and stuff here, but it covers everything else, pretty much everything else in here as well. All the different systems, how to add systems, what ROM formats to have, how to set up controllers, all that kind of stuff's covered in here. And again, like I say, because of the Mega Bezels, it says here it only works with libretro cores, which is basically cores inside RetroArch. Doesn't work with standalone ones. And again, as I showed, you download it through RetroBat itself, and because it's for RetroArch, they actually get stored inside the emulators / RetroArch / shaders folder, and then it puts them in a subfolder called Mega Bezel Packs. And like I say, this is saying the same thing about how to go and turn them on and pick which one you want. And this is just in case you obviously, rather than go back for the video, it remind you here to make sure that you set decorations to none, aspect ratio to full, and then make sure down here under drivers for video you pick Vulkan. And again, there's a nice, similar to what I had for the Master System, this is one for the SNES, playing the game with the SNES based bezel, and then you can see the reflection and glow around the outside, and some more for GameCube, etc. And tattoos. So again, a tattoo is just like an image that's overlaid over the top. That they've got it top left here, and exactly again how to turn them on. Tattoos will only work in combination with bezels. If you don't have bezels turned on, you don't get the tattoo. Well, there you go. That's a bit I missed. So you can't just go in and turn on just the tattoo. It won't show up. It basically has to have a bezel to sit on top of. Again, hopefully that was useful. Like, it's one that was requested by someone, so thank you for that. Any more suggestions for videos, either specific to the RGS build, or RetroBat in general, or retro gaming in general, anything, just let me know. Come and join Discord, say hello, and got a separate channel there for YouTube, and you can make suggestions there and feedback. That'd be great. And also, if you haven't, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. That really helps. So any questions, pop them in the comments, but obviously much easier to come to Discord and chat there. You can have an interactive chat and share screenshots and that kind of stuff. Which is a bit hard to do in the comments on YouTube. But thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you on the next one.